One thing that a lot of us are aware of is that most of you are idiots. Most of you, back in high school, before high school, after high school, it don't make any difference. You didn't see any reason for history, for paying attention. So you don't know the consequences of your ignorance. Meanwhile, there's a lot of historians, a lot of us, we pay attention to history. As a result, we know things that you don't. We already know how it's going to turn out because the plan has been set forth many times before, and we have examples of those plans and how they worked out. Equal rights works out extremely well. Special rights never work out except for those in power. They give themselves special rights. I am possibly going to cover it in this video, and I might possibly make another video to cover that very specific issue. The Constitution of the United States does not apply. It doesn't apply to the majority of those in the United States. The Constitution is shit. Congress wiped their ass with it. The judicial branch wiped their ass with it. The Senate wiped their ass with it. Shit, we've had four presidents in a row. Five presidents in a row who shat all over the Constitution. I know there's a lot of y'all who like Donald Trump. I don't, because he shat all over the Constitution. I know there's a lot of you who like Barack Obama. You think he did a great job. No, he didn't. He did a piss poor fucking job. The only reason that I supported him is because of his skin color. I figured, shit, we got all these white people fucking shit up. Let's see how a black man does. Turns out Barack Obama proved to us all that he's a white guy. Mentally, he ain't got nothing in common with most black folks in America. Shit, he ain't got nothing in common with most white people in America. So it's time for the local update. A couple of days ago, I went into Pumpkin Pantry. There was a lady carrying 2 containers of alcohol, or 2 12-packs of beer. Actually, I think one of them was a 12-pack and the other was a 24-pack. But all I had was 2 soda pops, so I let this woman ahead of me in line. Well, it turns out I went to high school with this lady. Matter of fact, her twin sister works down at the sheriff's office. Those of you who have paid attention to the story probably guessed it. Her name is Lynn. In high school, her name was Lynn Paul. I let her ahead of me in line, and she insisted on buying my soda pops. She said, I had a good day. I want you to have a good day, too. I had a good night. I want you to have a good night, too. And she kept saying that. And I didn't know what to say. I was looking at her, and I'm like, is this Lynn or Leslie? Back in high school, I could tell them different. Leslie had less hair, but now they both have long hair. So I let her buy my soda pops. She insisted on buying me a pack of cigarettes, which I'm still smoking. I don't go through a whole pack a day or anything. There was some issues with many of y'all already know if you've paid attention to the stories and listened to the conversations that there was a lot of situations with Amy that were pretty screwed up. You also know that there's 4 different Amy's that I'm dealing with. So this one is Amy Kingery, aka Amy Spencer. After that whole situation in Wyoming, and I came back here, um, well, she did start talking to me, and her boyfriend too, and they've had some issues. And he was trying to get an RV so she could get the hell out of here. To wait a day, we tried to hook up her battery so that her battery had enough charge in it. After charging it, the battery was fine. It was a connection on the starter. They replaced it with a wire that was not a large enough gauge. I went to school in Lodgepole, 9 miles away. I used to walk there every day and jog home from school every day. It's 18 miles round trip. It's a lot on foot, but in an RV, it's nothing. Lodgepole is as far as Amy got in that RV before it lit on fire. Now, thank goodness she survived it, and so did everyone else. So she got luckier than Laura Nelson, who lost a daughter and, well, several other relatives in a fire outside of Chapel, Nebraska here. Because of that fire in specific, laws were changed around here and in Colorado. Deputy Dwight Pruss, y'all have heard me talk about him a time or two. He burnt the hell out of himself trying to rescue them kids and Miss Laura out of that vehicle. That's the reason for going off on that big long fucking tangent. Well, I still got beef with Amy. Until she speaks up, I'm always going to have beef with her. But you know what? She's also someone I love very much and I care about very much. And despite the fucked up shit that she said and did, out of the 7 times that Amy has asked me for help since I got back to Chapel, I have not turned her down once. Out of the 3 times that her boyfriend has asked me for help since I got back to Chapel, I have not turned him down once. I can protect your children in ways that you can't. The Night of the Long Knives. That's when Adolf Hitler, his top henchmen, went to war with one another over who got to be in control of the Nazi Party and, in specific, the secret police. There was the AS and the SS. They're all a bunch of ASSSs, if you ask me. The Night of the Long Knives was when the division among the party became too great. And one group decided that they didn't want to share power. That group was the SS, led by Heinrich Himmler. And one of his favorite men, Fritz Sauckel. What's Fritz Sauckel famous for? Well, he was in charge of forced labor in Germany. Where did Fritz Sauckel get his ideas from? He got them from the United States of America. The 13th Amendment in specific, and the aftermath of the 13th Amendment. The 13th Amendment was introduced before the end of the Civil War. And those of you who actually pay attention to history are aware that the 13th Amendment is the amendment that makes slavery legal for all of us. There is no such thing as community service. That is a fancy word for slave labor. That's what the 13th Amendment did. It made it so that anybody convicted of a crime could be used as slave labor. And the very first thing the South did was make it illegal to be homeless. By the way, those laws are nationwide now. These laws that the South introduced about 150 years ago, 160 years ago now. They introduced those laws making it illegal to be homeless because 4 million Black people were homeless, were forced into homelessness. Oh, well, you're not my property anymore. Get the hell off of my land. And then they hung a whole bunch of them on the way to Charleston. Figures go anywhere from 5 to 15,000. 5 to 15,000 Black men, women, and children hung from telegraph poles. That's nothing compared to the Union losses of the Civil War. Over 600,000 deaths, most of them white people. I should say over 600,000 soldier deaths, because in some of those places, we still can't accurately tell you how many civilians were killed. In the South, a lot more than in the North, that's for certain. So what's the important thing about the Night of the Long Knives? Power grab. You want a monopoly. That's the problem I see with BLM. They want a monopoly on abuse. Abuse towards a Black person is racist, but abuse towards a white person is magically okay. You can't be racist against a white person. Black people can't be racist. Really? You obviously didn't pay very much attention in history. One thing that I do know is that the biggest mistake that I have made through all of this is not killing my predators. The biggest mistake that I made was not putting Officer Keith Steinman in the ground. I should have killed Alicia Bollinger too, and Natalie Bollinger. And all of their predators should have. You notice I say I should have a lot, but they're not things that I'm willing to do. So why do I say that I should have? Because you guys are constantly telling me what I should have done. You should have done this, you should have done that. And then you all want to type, well, I'd have done this and I'd have done that. And all the stuff that you're typing that you would do, have you done it? You know, if I had a child molester living in my neighborhood, I'd cut his balls off. Really? The last person to send me that lived here in Chapel, Nebraska. And I sent them the profiles of 3 convicted child molesters. And guess what? All 3 of those convicted child molesters still have their balls. They still have their balls. What did I say I would do? I said I would expose them. I already know what Candace thought I should do. According to Candace, I should have put a 45 between their eyes. Of course, that's the caliber of gun that Candace has, is a 45. Many of the people that I stayed with since Natalie was killed, I know exactly what model of firearm they have. I know what caliber of firearm they have. I know where they keep their firearms. And to this day, I still haven't reached for one of those firearms to go out and kill one of these motherfuckers. To this day, I haven't extended my hand out to get a gun so that I can go kill Wayland Lolatai. And with the many people who have offered me throwaway guns, mostly 22 long rifles that I am highly proficient with, I keep turning them down. Now, why is this? Because although these predators, what should be done is for them to be killed, that's not going to make things better for the rest of us. That's not going to change the laws. That's just going to make the predators into martyrs for the rest of the goddamn predators.